Hello. A new Play-Doh generic. Very nice is this. Very healing. Smells good. It smells almost like that perfume oil that I got. Interesting. Interesting. It's just interesting. That's the law of attraction. I had no idea what this was going to smell like. And I just put this other perfume on, and perfume called Happy, and this smells just like that. Better even. It's amazing. It's pretty good. I think they all should have a scent, and the best would be if they had a designer scent or individual notes. Nice is this. Oh, Papa Dog, yes. Papa Dog is sleeping next to me on the couch. Yes, he is. My nurse is that. It's very nice, very healing. Energy healing. We all need energy healing, all of us. So important. There are so many suffering people in the world. So many. Many in the chat rooms. They want to talk to someone about it, but they're afraid. It's not easy. I cried earlier too. I cried a whole lot today. First I cried over animal petitions. Oh gosh. And then I cried because I was so infinitely touched by that horse. My friend Sandy sent all of us on Facebook a video, a short video, just a few minutes long, of a therapy horse. A man with a therapy horse going into hospitals and into hospices. And I was amazed about this. I've never seen anything like this. As soon as I saw the horse, my tears started to stream. It was incredible. Just my tears just kept running like rivers the whole time. And after the video, after watching the video for like another 10 minutes, and I told my husband about it. I sent it to him. I reposted it on Facebook, and I told him to go look it up, and I was absolutely mesmerized. It's like something out of this world. The horse knew which door to go to. He would point his head, then they would go into the room with the horse. Horse, like when I stand up, a horse would be up to here or something, like, I don't know, 1 meter 50 or even more, 1 meter 60 tall. Like, that's like 5'5" or something tall in the shoulder. And a stallion even, they usually are very restless and very energetic and rambunctious and even young. He's young. So, and with very short hair, very groomed, very smooth, like a coat similar to the papa dog, like an orange fawn. And he would go up to the patients on his own. He didn't, the handler, the person, his best friend, didn't need to tell him anything. The horse would go up to the people, right up to the bed, right up to their heads, right up to their faces, and he would do this with his velveteen soft nose. And there were people in there that the doctor said they've never talked to anyone before. They're like in sort of catatonic states, autistic and suicidal and deeply depressed, some of them in the dying process, some of them very old or sick, and the horse would go right up to them and give them comfort and give them love and look at them with these infinitely loving eyes. Unbelievably amazing. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. Seen a lot of animal stories. I've never seen an animal like this before. This knowing and this, I mean, the only animal, of course, I've seen an animal. My former dog, Kenny, of course, he's the Buddha. And he's even more knowing. And that was his spacesuit, his soul is the infinite cosmos. But that horse is yet another Buddha level soul, and so far I only detected two, Elon Musk and Bom John, but that horse is another one. That horse is another Buddha level soul. And Kenny is the infinite cosmos, the blue God. But I've never seen a horse like this before, ever in my entire life. With that knowing, that Buddha intelligence, with this deep wisdom, and you can see it in his face, you can see it in his eyes. And that one guy, that autistic guy, he looked at that horse, the horse kissed him, and I could feel it. I can feel how he felt in that moment. I can feel it, when you're in so much pain and grief and you don't know how to communicate and there's no one out there who really understands you, And that's, for that guy, it must have been much, much worse than even for me in my own life. And so suddenly there was a being who really saw him for who he is. a precious living being. And that's what all of you are. All of you, every one of us. Every one of you out there. It doesn't matter what you have done in your lives. Some people have done terrible things. What made them do it? Not the body, not the cells, not even the brain cells. The body, the cells, the brain cells, this is all part of the precious living being. This is all precious. What made them do these terrible things? Not demons, but the ego. And the ego is also not something that is there for us to hate, because the ego is blind. Okay? The ego only wants to protect the person from being hurt. That's all the ego wants to do. And when that person is hurting, the ego will do something in a desperate, very, very desperate attempt. And sometimes the attempts are so desperate that they are hurting other beings. In that desperate attempt, the ego is trying to make that individual feel better. That's what the ego does. The ego just wants to help, but it's not helping. I don't know what that catatonic guy, what he is like, or what he's done in his life, or how he has acted towards people, or what his story is. All I was seeing was that he was in a very bad mental state, very locked up on the inside from anyone else. And Teal Swan talked about it too. It's a coping mechanism, to lock yourself away from others, not to commit, ever to commit to anything, not even doing anything kind for anyone. It's all an egoic and ego-based self-protection mechanism. That's what it is. And some people get so deep into this, I don't need anyone, into this, it's a denial state, get so deep into this, locking themselves away from communication with others, that they have gone a long way in that other direction, in a different direction than where they should be going, which is forward, which is inward. So they have locked themselves away. They don't want to give. They don't want to communicate. I dated a guy once. He said he doesn't want to give. I was amazed he would even come out with that information towards me. That was already actually a sign that he was trusting me so far enough that this thing was coming up. So, because I think he's probably never told anyone before that, because even revealing anything about this to anyone would be a scary thing to do, would feel like this is not safe. That's why some people, they play games over games over games. They convolute themselves more and more into a denial and more into an armor, shielding themselves from the eye of other people, from the introspective eye of other people. And it's the worst to have this impression that the other person saw what you were thinking, or what you were feeling, even worse. So I'm not judging. This is what's happening with most humans. It's a self-defense mechanism. And that guy in the hospital, when he looked in the face of the horse, the first time in his life he felt there was a being who was loving him for whom he is. with all the faults and mistakes and probably, maybe, possibly terrible things he has done. I don't know, but I'm just saying this in general. In a situation like this, the horse could go into a prison too. They would have to be, of course, they would have to be supervised, but the horse would, the same thing would happen, the same thing. But it's not safe. Don't take the horse into a prison. It's not safe. Those people are not bed bound. They are rambunctious and they are up and about, and they're dangerous. One never knows how they will react or act things out. But in a strictly supervised situation with only one prisoner and 10 prison guards to be there to jump in case he goes berserk, in a situation like this where it's all controlled, and this contact would be made possible with that other living being. Because the prisoner is just like every other person also in the hospital. It's like any other very ill person. It's just that that illness is happening in the mind and not in the body. So, but the reaction and the contact would be made in the same way, and the same thing would happen. For some people, it might take a little longer. So until that extreme callousness, the armor, the medieval armor in the brain, psychological armor, would start to feel safe to dissolve, so that this contact would actually happen, where the person would feel safe enough to make this contact, this eye contact, and this soul contact, to let that in, to let that bodhicitta, as the Buddhists call it, the soft spot, the softness, to let that in, to allow that to happen. Because it's never been safe for him to allow that to happen. He's been battered his whole life, since he was a baby. That's the case with most violent criminals. It's a combination of things. It's certain fear and certain hatred and prejudice can even become, it can even be absorbed by the DNA. That's what latest research has found. It's quite startling. And it can be traded on through the DNA. Prejudice against someone of another color and stuff like that. It's amazing. It's quite amazing what's happening. Dr. Bruce Lipton also talks about this as well. And in the field of epigenetics, there's a lot going on. A lot going on. Shocking things that are going on. And that's why it is so infinitely vital that we really, really pay close attention to the words we use, to the language we use. And we pay real close attention to what's going on within ourselves psychologically. Let's at least work on it. Let's at least make an effort in that direction of watching what we say to someone else. Even if it's someone, and we have every right in the world to feel a specific way towards that other person or whatever, it's not going to make things better if we hurl anger back at someone else. It's not going to help. It just makes the situation worse and worse and worse. And that's why It really takes every single person to take that introspective journey within themselves and ask themselves, how do I feel? How does this feel like right now? Why am I feeling like this? Why that anger? Why that hatred? Why that grudge? What's happening? When you start asking questions, it will the answer reveal themselves eventually. May not be right away in the beginning, but keep asking and the answers will come to you. And that's the introspective journey. That's when you find out what it really is. And then you can't be deceived anymore, neither by your own ego, by yourself, nor by others. Okay? You will become less manipulatable. You become less malleable, less nettable. You'll become more, you go towards yourself. You will know who you are. And you will not be able to be manipulated. Once you really get there, you can't be manipulated anymore by the media, by commercials, by talk radio. What do you think talk radio is? It's corporate manipulation, 100%. If you listen to this, if you let that make you mad, then that is what the corporate agenda wants. That's how they get people to vote their direction. That's how people buy their products. That's how people feel insecure and go to a plastic surgeon. They work with that. That is their medium. People's insecurity, people's fear of what other people think of them. We all get old. Eventually, even with youth enhancing drugs, I can't imagine that maybe, I don't know, maybe they will figure something out where people will go back to 25 and stay like this indefinitely, maybe so. But most of us can't afford that, and most of us will get old. It's the fact of life so far, And so don't put anyone down for getting old. People get bullied for their numbers. It's amazing what people get bullied for. It's the ego. The ego is doing that. The moment the ego thinks when they can hurt someone else, the ego thinks that will make the person feel better. He's just trying to help, that's all it is. But it doesn't make the person feel better. Quite the opposite. The person knows very well that this is extremely lame and coward and intellectually dishonest and psychopathic. It's a pathology. They know this, and so they feel even more shame about themselves for having to resort to such lowest denominating measures of putting someone else down. But the ego always in that moment, the ego always thinks that will make him feel better in that moment. And it's just an escape mechanism, just like anything else, like gambling. So he doesn't have to, in that moment where he puts someone else down, he doesn't have to, in that moment, look at his own issues. But it will come back with a vengeance later on. The stuff wants to be seen, that stuff that's boiling underneath. It will come back. It will come back stronger and stronger and stronger the more it's being repressed. And it's being repressed with act outs, with escape mechanisms. You're silencing your inner child with those escape mechanisms. And it's not just that this is looked down on by society, rightly so, of course. Not just that, you're hurting other people. Don't do that anymore. We're all hurting. You don't make yourself feel better by making someone else hurt even more. Same with revenge. Nothing is being repaired with that. Nothing. It just is made worse and worse and worse. Things get more and more inflamed through revenge. That's what war is. War is revenge on a massive scale. The only path each person has is the path within ourselves. There is no other way. We have no other way to go. I'll give an example. I dated this guy once. The guy obviously has been in prison and white, like very racist, white supremacist type of person. I don't know if he is, but a type of person. And I today I'm much more careful who I get a crush on, so much more careful. So I almost trust no one anymore. So. But anyway, I talked to him on the phone. I dated him one night, slept there. And the way he talked about people, I mean, he trusted me enough to even to talk about these things. See, I wasn't even able to recognize his side of it as much, because I was just too shocked about the things he told me, that he's beaten someone up in a bar and he was locked up for that, and that he flies off the handle, and that someone made a remark about him and then he just totally lost it and beat that guy up. And I was in a state of judgment towards him. That's my own defense mechanism coming up. So when we step back from the big picture, we can see, oh, he's hurting. He did it. It was an egoic reaction, a knee-jerk reaction, all in the attempt to protect himself. He was hurt emotionally, Maybe the guy who hurt him didn't even intend to hurt him. That happens a lot too. But it's, the ego is hurt and the ego lashes back, often physically. So in his situation, he hears someone in the bar say something about him. Or maybe it is someone who really wants to bully him in the bar, or says really mean things, or starts to aggravate him directly, or may even threaten to hit him. So instead of flying off the handle, instead of lashing out like he did, how can a person like this in that situation deal with that situation? So he can deal with it by recognizing that the other person, first of all, is hurting also, or he wouldn't be trying to agitate him or challenge him, kind of like two horned animals going against each other to impress a woman. That happens with humans all the time. With the human animal, the human mammal, the human ape. We are apes. And so if we become aware, we can take full charge of our own emotions, and we can breathe, and we can recognize that other person is hurting too. He wants to impress the ladies, and he feels probably challenged by you, so put yourself into his shoes for a moment, how that feels like. Don't take it as another affront against you personally. Maybe you should take it as a compliment instead. But either way, don't react. Don't react this out. Even if it doesn't feel good. See his side of the story, and understand that he's troubled, or a person who is doing something terrible is troubled in one way or another. And take the journey within yourselves. And if he doesn't leave you alone, you leave that bar. You go home. You sit down, you meditate on it. You don't have to get that girl that night. You sit down, you meditate, you take the journey within yourself. So next time you go to the bar or to a party, you will radiate something completely new, something better, something much more sophisticated, and you will attract an even better woman. So, but don't do it for that. Do this now just for yourselves, for your own mental stability and sanity. Do it. Take that journey within yourselves. The other person, whoever that is, a man or a woman who has incidentally or deliberately hurt your feelings, take the journey within yourself. And walk away. Take a break from them. Go into meditation. Tell them, I need to be by myself. Go into meditation. Don't act it out on anyone else, on any living being. Not on an animal, and not on a child, and not on an adult human. Okay. Not on an animal baby, not on an adult animal, not even on a tree or other plant. Don't hurt any living being. If you want to rage it out, go into your bedroom. Don't have an animal in there, okay? And let it out on the pillow. Let it out on the mattress. And make sure to let those tears come up when they want to come up. Don't suppress them. Don't write over them with your anger. Then you're acting it out again. Letting the rage out is just in this moment of rage, where the rage is there and it's painful. So let it out on the pillow, on the mattress. And when you powered yourself out, allow the tears to take over and allow that to run its course all the way. And when you're finished with that, or if the tears didn't come, you say to that person that hurt you, you say what you really feel. You say to him in the room without the person there. The person could be deceased already, but you still talk to him. You say to the person, this is how you made me feel. And you don't say it again with anger. You say it just the way it is. This is how you made me feel. It's an honest expression. This is how you made me feel. And then tears will come, most likely will come. And if they don't come, they'll come another time. But keep going through this. This is not about achievement. This is about the path. So once you do this, you're on that path. And that's where we need to be. That's where everyone needs to be. We need to get on that path of healing, of introspection. And then everything will become better in the world. Everything will heal. And it starts with me, it starts with you and everyone else. And you can tell other people to do the same thing. And so that's how we propagate that information, that particular inwardness approach. And that's how we help everyone around us. You already help people around you just by going into it yourself. You're already helping people. Instead of me hating a troll, you know, if I'm in an office situation and I'm bullied, I've been bullied in school, so I've also been bullied at jobs. When they see someone who's different, when they see someone who is very kind-hearted and gentle, which is different from the masses, that's why in Germany, and also in the English language, in Germany they have this word Gemeinde. Gemeinde means community. But in the word Gemeinde is the word gemein. Gemein means mean. Gemeinde, that means the overall population is mean. That's what that means. In the old Minnesang from the Middle Ages, it's very interesting. You know, they had different minne. Minne, I think, translates into love songs for someone. The people on the aristocratic side, the singers of minne among the aristocrats, among the educated people, they would go to a princess, and they would, like in the fairy tale Rapunzel, they would be standing in front of the window at night and they will sing her a love song of desire. I want you, come, let your golden hair down and I will climb up like on a rope. And very interesting that, but that was the minority. That were the 5%. So that would do this very sophisticated love songs and stuff like this. with much respect for the woman. But now we have the average minna, so the average folk minna, so very different tone, not respectful. They would sing very sexually explicit, in 1300 too, and 1200, and very rude, very crude. And they would dance by hopping around in a circle, and then they would push each other down. So, and that is the average folk. And if someone among the average folk is not like that, is more like the princess in the tower, then the other people they will go, oh, a Leonard Stetchik among us. We better bully her or him. And that's the story of Leonard Stetchik, and the rest is history. So that basically now explains itself to me, what this really is. That is what it is. The average person is not respectful. Let's put it that way, to say it in a more mild manner. So, and that's why they call Gemeinde. That's why they call community Gemeinde in German. Gemein means mean. So, the mean community, which is most people. And if we want to change that, and I am offering this to the Gemeinde, I'm offering this to the community out there. And by community, I mean all people. I mean the princess in the tower, the pop singer, the people who eat gourmet food and who are respectful towards each other. And I also mean the 95% other people that are eating French fries, that put poisons into their bodies, that drink beer, and that push each other down, physically and mentally. So my videos are for all of you, all of them, everyone. And if we want to make this better, if we don't want the majority of people being mean, and that's why they bullied Leonard Stetchik, because the majority of these people were mean, and that was even in college, and among the tax consultant people, the tax assessors, and they studied to get there. So, but that's not philosophy they studied. So that's a little different. So they think they're still among the mean minna, the ones that push each other down, the ones that drink themselves into a coma and wear toxic aftershave, so, and wear toxic clothes and have toxic thoughts and listen to toxic videos and music and all of that, and video games. So my message is to all of you. If we want to change that, if we want to completely dissolve that percentage, that statistics that we have right now, if we want to make everyone become sensitive and respectful, and no longer authority obedient, and no longer treading down onto anyone else. It's this, buckling to the top and treading to the bottom. That's what most people, they seem to do. Okay. That's hierarchy. It's hierarchy thinking, and it doesn't get us anywhere. It just makes things more and more convoluted, makes people suffer more and more and more, puts more and more and more and more and more shame into the world. Let's turn this around. Now, we can do it now. We can turn this around by becoming aware about these inner mechanisms. And you can say, you can probably argue and say, well, if I change that, the other people, they're not going to change, and then I will be the Leonard Stetschik, they're going to be bullying, and I better also be tough on the outside, and blah, 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 blah. No. It's the same argument that a redneck would bring up and say, we need to go to war. Exact same mindset. We do not need to go to war. Okay, neither for the military nor in your own lives or at your job or wherever you are. We do not need to go to war. But we need to go within ourselves. That's where we need to go. That's where every single person needs to go. That's the only path we have. We have no other path. Go within yourselves. Go within yourself. Go within yourselves. There's nothing to get from anyone else, or from society, or from rock stars or celebrities. There's nothing to get or gain. There's nothing to gain. It's an illusion. It's called Maya. It feels real, but it isn't. Measurement is an illusion. Measurement is Maya. Maya in Sanskrit means to measure. Maya comes from that word. Maya is measurement, and it means illusion. Things are beyond measurement. You are just as precious as everyone else. You are all children of the infinite cosmos. All animals, all beings, equally much. Don't hurt that rabbit, because he can't defend himself. He's just as precious. He's just as much a child of the infinite cosmos as you all are. I'm talking now to the people who tend to be cruel. I'm not talking to the people who already know all of this. So my message, this is my message to the rough folks out there. The ones who think they have to build themselves an armor of meanness in order not to be hurt anymore. That's not how this works, though. Your armor of meanness and your mean acts make the world worse, and it becomes increasingly worse. And everyone suffers from that. Okay, so let's turn this around. It's your responsibility. Whoever you are, you could be a prisoner. You could be a psychopath. You could be just any violent, uncaring person out there. It's up to each one and you. You're not a pawn. You're not some person that's being shoved around or stepped on, treaded on. People told me that. Some crude people told me that they feel stepped on by me. It's like, what did I do to step on you? And they don't see that they're stepping on people. They don't see it. Because the ego thinks, the ego feels stepped on, so he's going to be mean and crude and all of this. Because he thinks that makes him less vulnerable, but it's exactly the opposite. If you're mean, then you will get a mean reaction from other people. A mean dictator is always brought down in the end, and in a violent way, by a violent mob. That's what a mean tyrant will get. That's called direct karma. It's always happening. It doesn't matter whether you are a drug mafia boss or a communist dictator or the leader of a violent cult or a violent religion. It doesn't matter. You will be brought down very, very violently in the end, because that's a reaction you are causing in other people that also haven't worked on themselves. So, and that's the reality that humans have created, and everyone is part of this. Everyone is partly responsible for creating that reality, whether we know it consciously or not. By not being part of this, by consciously not being part of this, the moment I lash out even with a comment, I'm back part of this reality. So I made a very conscious decision not to be part of this anymore. And I've said terrible things in the past, out of anger, hurt, and hatred. And I refuse to continue on that path. I don't want to go on that path anymore. It's not going anywhere. And I know how hatred feels like. Trust me, I know how it feels. It feels, that's the worst feeling there is hatred. It is, the Aborigines in Australia, they have a symbol for that. They write things in symbols, kind of like hieroglyphs. Like they're like the people hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago in Europe. So when they did cave paintings, and they first started to come up with the language through the cave paintings, and then hieroglyphs were born through paintings that have become pictograms. And so the Aborigines also have that. They had that development of language development, and they have one symbol, and they're very tuned. They're very tuned into the infinite cosmos, just like the Native Americans always were, because they had to. They evolved that way, and they traded that, passed that on also, not just through word of mouth, but through the DNA as well. So they very quickly evolved in the direction of being psychics, very intuitive people. So they have this symbol that very much resembles a swastika, and that is the symbol of hatred. Very interesting, I thought. But we shouldn't, in general, we shouldn't be mentally OCD putting so much weight into those symbols and saying, oh, this is it's just a symbol, as Yunaka Mise said. But still, it is an expression of something, And yes, it does. There is an energy that vibrates with that. So I wouldn't just throw this around in an artwork or something. Some people have to paint it in order to get something out of their system. So Yunaka Mise wants us not to have so much OCD with all of this symbolism. So that's why he brings that up. It's a philosophy, basically, to say, don't take yourself so seriously anymore. It's just symbols. But yeah, symbols, they do contain something, and it looks like a claw that's like this, and for a reason, because their language also, the written language, has evolved from pictures. So this is the symbol of hatred, and looks like the swastika sort of, and it feels like you're actually clenched onto something. You are. You are clenched onto an emotion. It's interesting how all of this ties in with one another. So let go of it. My artwork says to you, you can let go now. You can let go now. Let go of the clenching. Let go of the swastikas. It doesn't matter what group you belong to, or you think you belong to, or what ethnicity you belong to, or religion, or whatever. We're all equally precious. We're all children of the infinite cosmos. Let go of the clinching. Let go of the self-image making. Let go of the religion, the ideologies, the clinging to the image, the clinging to the anchor. Let go of it. Let go of that clinging. You don't need LSD for that. You don't need any kind of mushroom or anything. And certainly don't use frog fear pheromones for it. Don't hurt another living being. You don't need anything. Drink some chamomile tea and sit down in meditation. Don't take pharma drugs either. They ruin people's livers and kidneys. And also fog up the brain. They can't even think clearly. Drink chamomile tea, don't drink alcohol. Sit down in meditation and be radically honest to yourselves. Radically honest. Be revolutionarily honest with yourselves. And let go of that clinging. And if the tears come up, let them come up. It's okay. My artwork says it's okay. You're safe. You're safe with me. Okay? It's safe. It's safe with Nicola. It's safe on her channel. No one is going to laugh about you. No one is going to make fun of you. No one is going to bully you. And whoever bullies you, walk away. That's all you need to do. Walk away. And you will help thousands of people energetically just by doing that. By not reacting. You are helping the bully too by not reacting. And if you can get on this path, you will start to understand the bullies. You feel sorry for them. You will feel compassion for them. And then you will help them more than any psychiatrist or any psychologist or therapist or psychology study program could ever do. That's how we help each other. That's how we help the world. That's how we make the world a better place. Okay? You guys take care.